Life on the home front in World War II, home front in the United States. So the home front was very strong in the United States, which had a lot to do with the victory in the war against the Nazis and against Japan military empire and Italy. But the industry in the United States was very important, as well as many other things on the home front. The home front then would go all the way throughout the war from 1941 to 1945. This is the famous Rosie the Riveter. There were a couple people who were actual real women who were Rosie the Riveter was modeled after. I actually had a student last term do a great presentation and paper on Rosie the Riveter. It's a real Rosie the Riveter here, obviously much older in this picture, but one who had actually been doing a lot of work on the home front in World War II. Uh, and another woman who survived the war, much older here, uh, who is tied to Rosie the Riveter. We see here an elementary school in Chicago raising, I believe this is Chicago, is raising war bonds uh, and money to be used to help with the effort. And they had raised war bonds through family and friends, um, and by spreading the word in a fundraising effort. Here is some workers, um, which were like the industry in the United States, the spirit of volunteerism and the spirit of working for the cause was really great. In the beginning, for self-defense, but also when they realized that it was really a battle against totalitarian powers across the world and a battle between freedom and totalitarian powers. So there was a great effort of volunteerism and people joining in the effort on the home front. Nursing was another huge field that was very strong on the home front with soldiers who would return from the war. There were many nurses also right at the battlefronts in all the sectors of World War II. We see these women working on an aircraft. Looks like an aircraft engine. I've known people even personally who have done this. Um, so there was a lot of really high tech training and work going on. Very quick training that could be used even throughout their lives. But this was a lot of high tech work too. Here's a poster encouraging the home front, like saving metal and paper. Help put the lid on Hitler. Okay. This is obviously a garment factory working on clothing for the military. Um, Looks like medical and pharmacy work going on at a high level during the war on the home front. There's a lot of heavy work getting ready equipment uh, for the war. These posters were in a number of cities uh, encouraging work and unity and jobs on the home front and putting these messages out at the time of World War II. These kids are having fun doing salvage work for the war effort on the home front also. This child is being given a silver medal. Her father died in combat um, during during World War II, and she's being given the medal. Also, heavy duty work and important work going on during World War II in the United States home front. Um, we see this being given another example of activity on the home front. The spirit of volunteerism on the home front, and like we talked about during Pearl Harbor, the joining of the Navy, the Army, the Marines was really strong throughout the war. Another example of workers across the entire country, and we're talking in the north, the south, the east, the west, the factories were very busy in building supplies that were needed to fight and supply the military throughout the war. Another shot on what's going on at this time. Looks like Mickey and Minnie Mouse here. Mickey on the home front. So the home front would then be from 19 in the United States. The home front was from 1940 to 1945. There's a Rosita Riveter sign, but this one specifically refers to nurses, because nurses were so important then, and obviously so important now in our era, in what we're facing in this era. Okay, so that's the last picture of the home front. There were also victory gardens, like people planning for their own food and food to be given, and there was also rationing going on, so people had to sacrifice and not be able to buy a lot of. Some goods were rationed out uh, during the war, and you had to get ration cards. So there was a gigantic organization going on the home front between 1940 and 1945.